Hello everybody, it's Wendy and today we are going to make a multi-strand necklace using some products from Jesse James Beads. But first, our encouraging word for today is you have come so far on your journey. So I kind of like this card because I actually just went through a lot of my old jewelry. I don't know, I think I've mentioned that we may be moving again. So I've actually started cleaning stuff out, going through stuff again, trying to narrow down what we have to pack. And I've been going through some of my old jewelry that I made, and I am like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that was so ugly. So, not that everything I make now is so pretty. It's not that. It's just that I have come farther than I thought I would. Let's just say that. And I'm sure you have too. So if you ever get discouraged, look back over some of your older stuff and, you might be surprised at how far you've come when you didn't think you had. Okay, so Jesse James Beads. We are going to be using several things, mainly going to be using the illuminating products from the Pantone line. So they have this hand-dyed enamel chain in illuminating. And they have a bead strand in illuminating, okay? So that's what we're going to be using. I have 2 of the bead strands. So if you want to make this exact same necklace, you're going to need 2 of the illuminating bead strands, 1 of the illuminating chain, and then I have these beautiful little tassels, and I will link these in the description box below. If you want to get these, you can. These are just some really cute, I love the colors, the burgundy and the yellow and the gray together. We're going to be using this chain. This is called Cog Chain in bright silver. I will link it as well. It is really cool. Look at those little cogs. They look like little sunshines to me. They're really cute. So we're going to be using that. We're using these 2 connectors. Now, these were in the December edition of the Magical Mystery Bead Box, okay? You can use any connectors that you have. It's a 2-to-1 connector. If you don't have a connector and you don't want to get one or whatever, you can just use a ring, a regular jump ring, and hook these chains right onto there. But I'm using the connectors. Here's the illuminating chain. I've got a lobster claw clasp and a big ring for it to clasp onto. I have 2 2x2 crimp beads and 2 clamshell covers. Now these are different. They're not the normal clamshell covers I use. I usually use the ones that have the hole in the bottom. These are side close ones, okay? You can use either one though. It doesn't matter. This is 7-strand tiger tail. We're just going to be using a piece of it. It's just from my scraps. And then the illuminating bead strand, okay? So that's this bead strand. It had some gorgeous beads on it, and I love yellow. I don't wear yellow a lot because I'm extremely pale, but I love it. It's beautiful, and so I really like it with the gray and these hints of kind of fuchsia and burgundy. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? So this is 2 of the illuminating bead strands. Now I'm not using all the beads from it. I have 1 of these little flower beads left over. I've got these large hole beads and some of the daisy spacers and stuff. I won't be using everything out of it, but I am going to be using quite a bit of it. I'm going to pull these 2 spacers out. I'm going to use them. Okay. And I may end up pulling something else out of there. I don't know. And then I've got my favorite oval jump rings. Okay, so they're right there in my box. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cog chain, and let me move these out of the way. I'm going to be using this as the bottom strand, and then I'm going to be using these connectors right here, and I'm going to be using the tiger tail as the second strand. Okay, so I want, obviously, the tiger tail to hang a little bit above the cog chain. So I'm going to do the cog chain first. And I don't want this to be super long. I mean, it's not going to be like a big, long upper length or anything like that. So I'm just going to straighten out my chain here. Just make sure that your chain is laying flat. And I'm just going to kind of lay it out like I would if I was wearing it. Now, I know a lot of people use the bead board thing, and if you want to do that, that is absolutely fine. But those things confuse the heck out of me. I just don't like them. They make it harder. It's easier for me just to lay it out right like this where I can see it. So that's what I'm doing. All right. And I do want to make this a bit longer, so I'm just, there we go. That looks pretty perfect. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to mark right here. Actually, I'm just going to take this, see these are little jump rings, so I'm just going to take this little jump ring off, and I could put it back on if I needed to, like if I decided that this was, if I wanted it longer or whatever, I could put this little jump ring back on. These are actually closed rings, so I'm going to have to cut it, but I could reattach it with just a tiny jump ring. That wouldn't be a problem. But I'm pretty sure that's about where I want my length to be. And let me measure this. I can tell you how long it is if you want to make yours the same. You have to be kind of careful and make sure these are not getting bound up. Make sure your chain is laying flat. And I've got, so I have 12, right at about 14.5 inches on my lowest chain. Okay? So this is going to hook right onto this, and I'm just going to take 2 of my little jump rings here and my tools, and I'm just going to hook the chain to this outer strand or outer loop of my my connector. Let me put on my glasses. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to use, I'm hooking it right onto the little cog, and I'm just going to hook it right onto my connector. Just like this. I think it's going to be big enough, this jump ring. Yeah, it is. Okay. Make sure it's closed up really well. And then I'm going to lay this out now. What you want to do, you want to make sure that your chain is laying the right direction the whole way, that it's not twisted anywhere. And then we're going to hook it to this side, okay? So that's what I'm doing. I'm just laying it out, making sure that it's not twisted anywhere. And I'm going to hook it right here with my other jump ring. Now, okay, the thing I'm seeing different is this one has a little loop attached to it. I'm going to cut that loop off because I don't want it to be different than the other side. I'm just going to take my pliers and just cut it right off, okay? And then it's exactly the same as my other side, which is what I want. And I'm going to hook this one right on here. Close this right up. And that will be my bottom chain. Now, I'm going to lay it out here again, make sure that everything is laying flat. And I'm going to hook my little tassels onto this. I'm making sure that it's laying flat here. There we go. Nobody's twisted up. There we go. Okay. Now, let me pull it up here. That probably twisted it up when I pulled it up. So let me flatten it again. It sure did. Not that, I'm really not sure this would totally matter, but when we're attaching these, but I just want to be safe. So I am making sure that everything is laying flat. Okay, it is. So now we've got our tassels here. So I'm going to even up my top rows. Make sure that everything is, you can put them side by side if you want. I've got them side by side up there at the top. And I'm just going to come down here, pull it to where I can tell exactly where the middle is. And there it is, okay? Now these guys I want to hang very close together, and there's one of them that has a piece that's longer than the other two. So I'm going to put that one in the middle. I'm going to attach it right to this middle piece right here. Let me move this down so you can see what I'm doing. That's important. Okay. I'm going to attach this one right to this middle cog, and then I'm going to attach the others right beside them. Okay, so they're kind of overlapping each other, and that's what I want them to do. So I'm going to take my jump ring, And I'm just going to put this guy in the very middle, on this very middle cog. I'm trying to keep this laying flat just so that it doesn't twist up. I don't, like I said, I don't know that it would really matter with these tassels, but I kind of just want them to lay with the sides showing that I want to show, with the most colorful sides. So I'm just trying to keep this laying flat so they don't turn or anything like that. And then I'm going to take the other two and I'm going to hook them, this one to this cog right here, right above the middle one, and the other one on the other side. And it's a little fiddly just because I'm trying to do it laying on the bead mat. I just don't want it to twist up or anything. So let's add this one. Oops, and I did just pull that, didn't I? Okay, so I'm just going to put this one right above this other middle one right here. Right there on that cog. Okay, and then when I hold this up, they're just kind of fluffed right up there together, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to work on our next strand. And okay, so what did I do? How did I get this on the inside? I turned it around, didn't I? Let me turn this back around. These are supposed to be hanging on the outside, not the inside. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything exact so it doesn't twist up or anything. Okay, so these are hanging on the outside where I want them to be. Now we're going to work on our tiger tail. So we're going to take our length of tiger tail here, and I'm going to go ahead and actually, I think I'm just going to lay my beads out right here like I want them to go. So this is right here. I'm going to lay my beads like I want them to go, and I think I want this little, I love these little flower enamel things. I think they're so cute. So I kind of want them to hang right in the middle like this. And I'm going to put in these cubes on either side. Scoot the bead mat up. There we go. Okay, so I've got these cubes on either side. What do I want to do next? Let's see. Do I want to do one of these big beads next? I think I probably do. And then, no, I don't want to go that small. Then maybe one of these cracked glass ones. Then these guys right here. Then a silver spacer. Then these smaller ones. Smaller yellow ones. And then I think I'll do this other bigger one. Let's see. Then the cracked glass again. Then probably these bigger ones. Then we'll go these medium ones, these smaller ones, and I might throw in one of these spacers here and here. Having trouble keeping this whole thing on screen. And then probably one of those on each side. And that should take it right about where I need it to be, up here to this next connector. And I may even need to leave a couple beads out, so we'll see. All right, so I'm going to take my tiger tail And I'm going to go ahead and finish one end of it. So I'm just going to take my crimp bead. Now, we're not using wire guardians and crimps. The sole purpose of this crimp tube is just to keep the clamshell connector on this wire. So all you have to do is flatten it. You don't have to crimp it like you normally would a crimp, you know, to get the perfect little crimp, because it's going to be right inside here. And as long as you've put it on there securely, then it will stay. Okay? So just go ahead, make sure it's inside there, close this clamshell up, and if it bothers you, you are welcome to stick some glue in there. That would definitely hold it, some E6000, but I've never had trouble. I mean, I'm pulling on it and it's perfectly fine, okay? So it is very secure. All right, so I'm just gonna bead these on now in the order that I have them, and then we'll look at the length and make sure that it's okay, but I think it's gonna be. So I'm just gonna bead them on right here in the order that I have them. I said I don't usually wear yellow because I'm very pale, but I may have to buy a yellow shirt just to wear this necklace because we're going to be moving to Florida, so maybe I'll get tan down there. Or I don't really tan, though. That's the thing. It just doesn't happen for me. I turn red and then I just turn white again, so probably won't tan, but I have been darker skin. You know, I've been able to get a little bit of a tan more since I've lived in North Carolina, just because, you know, I'm in the sun more than when I was in West Virginia because there's more sun here. I do wear sunscreen and stuff, so, but I've just never been one to tan. I've always been very pale, unfortunately. My boys now have, their dad is part Cherokee, so they have got beautiful, beautiful tan. Like in the summer, they get so pretty. Their skin is just so beautiful. But they got that from their dad, so I don't have any of it, unfortunately. And Landon looks so cute. He has those big blue eyes and that dark skin, and Logan's got really pretty eyes too. They both do. Alright. So here we are. We're just beading this on. Just putting all the beads on, just in the order that I laid them out. And you can put them out in whatever order you want, of course. But I like to kind of mix it up. I like to do some of the big ones, some of the smaller ones. Some people put all the big ones together and then graduate down, and that looks good too. All right, now here we have it. Let's see how long it is going to be. So when we hang this on, yep, that's going to pretty much be perfect, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this other side, and I'm just going to cut this off so it's not got such a long piece. I'm still going to leave a little bit to hang on to because I do have to get the crimp bead on. So I'm just going to let it fall naturally, kind of hold it up and let gravity do its thing, and just press it down right there. Okay, that way it's not stick straight, but it's also not got loose beads and wire showing. Okay, and then I'm just going to slide this little clamshell cover on just like I did on the other side and close it up. And you just want to make sure that it is completely inside the little thing there. And you may have to finagle that around just a little bit, but it will go in there. Okay, and now I'm going to cut this off, this extra wire sticking out. And there we have it. We have both sides. I'm just making sure that that is completely over the crimp bead. There we go. All right, so there is our next strand. So I'm just going to take my jump rings and I'm going to hang it right on there. Okay, just like this. And now, after you get these both hooked on, is the time that you would want to pick this up and hold it up on yourself and see if you like where it hangs. Because now is the time that if you wanted to cut some of this other chain off, that, you know, this would be a great time to do it. So I'm just going to put this one on the connector, close it up really good, and then I'm just going to pick this up and just hold it up on me and see how it hangs. Okay. And I think I like it pretty well. I'm kind of tempted to take a little bit of this other chain off. I don't know. I can't decide. I think I would like these to be just a tad bit closer. So I'm going to unhook it on this one side. And I'm just going to take 2 of these cogs off. And like I said before, these have these little jump rings hooking them together. So you can actually hook this back together by jump rings if you want to use it later for something. Of course you would. So I would just hang on to all these little pieces. You can make earrings with them. You can do all kinds of stuff. So I'm just taking off 2 of the little cogs on each side. That's going to leave me with the little cog with a piece sticking up. As you can see, it's got the little loop, and I'm just going to leave that little loop on there and hook it back on with the jump ring. Just like this. And it's still trying to kind of keep it laying flat. I think it is. I don't think it's really going to make all that much difference, because when this is on your body, it's going to lay against you. So, you know, it's going to be, this is going to flatten out anyway, but I just like to do it just in case. It's my OCD kicking in. All right, so there we go. Now, let me hold it up again. I like the way that looks better, okay? So that's better for me. All right, now, what we want to do, you want to make sure that you still have your inside and outside layers together. And then we're going to attach our illuminating yellow chain on the sides right here to go up to the back of our necklace. Okay, so you have to know kind of how long you want this to be. So let me hold this up on myself one more time. And I think I need it to be about 6 inches on each side. So I am going to take it. I'm going to grab my ruler. And I'm going to measure out 6 inches, which would be right about here. I'm going to go 6.5, just to be safe. Yes, I'm going to go 6.5. And the way this chain is hooked together is with these little tiny rings as well. So you can just get in there and cut the little tiny ring on one of your pieces, okay? And it's going to leave you with 2 pieces that could be hooked back together with another ring. Now these you would have to use tiny little jump rings with, which, you know, hopefully I've got something this tiny. I think I do. But I may have to pause the video and dig in my thing for it, because they all tend to go to the bottom of the container. The little ones do. All right, so I'm just going to cut the same length on the other side. And I'm making sure when I do cut this that it's facing the same direction. And let me cut this little piece off. And was I wrong about that? Are these rings? No, I was wrong about this. This ring is hooked together. But still, you know, if you cut them apart, you would be able to hook them back together using jump rings on the other little pieces. I mean, you wouldn't be you're not wasting anything if you cut it apart. You will be able to hook it back. So I'm just making sure, and I need to cut it right here. Okay. But yeah, these aren't separate rings. This ring is actually part of this piece of chain, but that's okay. Like I said, you'll be able to use the other little hole on there to hook everything back together. Okay, there we go. See that hole right there? We can use that to hook things. Okay, so we have our chain here. Now, I probably am going to have to take this piece off right here. Yeah, this piece, well, I can probably hook a jump ring through that. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to hook up our sides. So we need to make sure that our necklace is laying flat, again, with the strands the way that you want it to go. Let me pull this down so you can see what I'm doing. It really is hard to get these multi-strand necklaces on camera. Okay, and now I'm going to get in my jump rings right here real quick, and hopefully I can find a couple. These are my gold ones. I don't have as many as I do the silver, so it should be easier to find. But I've got a couple little jump rings right there, and I'm just going to hook this chain. I'm going to have it pointing down like this. See, it goes both ways, so you want to make sure you put both of them the same. And I'm just going to hook it with this little jump ring right onto the chain right there. And this is a tiny jump ring. It's like a 3mm, I believe. I don't even think it's a 4. It's like a 3mm. Okay. Hooking it right on there. Then right onto this little tiny hole on the chain. It is tiny too. Okay, and just make sure it's closed up really good. I'm gonna have to start putting my lighted magnifier things on, I think. I'm having trouble even seeing with my glasses now. I've got to get an eye doctor's appointment. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, same thing over here. All right, go ahead and hook this one on. Make sure it's closed up real good. Okay, now you want to hold this up, just double check. Make sure it's not too long on you. And it's where you want it to be, and I believe mine is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my lobster claw and my jump ring on. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to use, let's see here, because this one does have this little piece that's not, I may have to cut that one off. I think I'm going to. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to cut this piece off because I really do want to use the side that has the little hole or the little loop. I think that'll be more secure. So I'm just cutting that piece off. I'm sorry, we have to sacrifice one little link out of this chain. I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to, just for the security of the necklace. I don't, you know, I want to be sure that everything's able to hang very securely. Okay, so that leaves us with these little pieces that have this little loop sticking up, which makes it very easy to connect our lobster. So, but I am going to have to get a thinner ring than this one. That one's super thick. It's not going to work. Though I could hook on, them on. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think this will be fine. That's a thinner ring right there. So I'm going to let my lobster clasp onto that. And then my other one, I'm going to hook my lobster on with this guy, I think, if it'll go. I think it will. It may be too thick. And I am really liking, yeah, that goes. I'm really liking combining metal colors lately. And Jessie James Beads, I found, is really good about having mixed metals in their strands. So if you look at this necklace here in a second, down in the bottom, I will show you. Let me get this on here real quick. We have a lot of mixed metal going on. We've got, not a lot, but we have some. We've got some golds and silvers, so it's okay to mix your golds and silvers. There we go. And this will clasp right onto here. And here is our necklace. So if you look down here, oops, I'm tangled up. Hold on. Yeah, if you look down here, I'm still tangled up. Hold on. Let me get it laying correctly so we can see what we're doing. Come on now. Like I've flipped my, there we go. There we go. Okay. So if you look here, you've got your silvers here. We've got some golds in these right here, and mostly silver in through here, but this has gold tints to it too. And then our enamel chain has gold in it. So the mixing of the gold and silver, I really do like. I'm really enjoying that lately. Okay, so here's our finished necklace in my light box. There it is. I think it turned out really cute. Like I said, I like the colors. I like the burgundy, the yellow, and the gray together. I really, really do. And of course, Jesse James beads. They're beautiful. And the Magical Mystery Bead Box as well. It's a subscription, a monthly beading box. And you guys can check that out. That's where the connectors came from. And it's just absolutely beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.